Hey everyone, this is ToxicTuna, and today we are going to be doing an analysis on the newly released trailer for Episode 4 of Life is Strange. Dontnod has confirmed that Episode 4 will be released on July 28th, so be sure to make note of that. I am hoping that I will be able to get a few videos up on the 28th. The only reason I wouldn't is if PlayStation Network decides to be a dick, but hopefully that won't happen. Alright, so I'm going to start by playing just the trailer. If you have watched it already, I will have a skip button on the bottom right. Feel free to click on that and go straight to the analysis. If you haven't watched it, I highly suggest that you're sitting down. Alright guys, Life is Strange Episode 4 trailer.
This place is the epicenter of creepy. Holy shit. That's kind of scary. We're getting so close to Rachel Amber. We have to finish this. There's no sign of life. This place is evil. Oh my god! Get off me! I can't believe it's real. How can all of this not be connected to a major storm? This is where my nightmare started. I've got a bad feeling about this. Arcadia Bay is on the edge of disaster. Jesus. What do you mean by dark places? Is the world ending? Run, Max!
What the fuck? Oh, get off me!
Oh no!
The storm is coming! You're all gonna die!
Did I make the right decision?
Alright guys, so yeah, a lot going on here. So first let's start off with the fact that it looks like the dimension that Max comes back to at the end of episode 3 is our new home, at least for a short while. We know that based on the fact that number 1, the trailer shows the Price's house when it's all painted blue, not half painted blue. And number 2, we still see those beached whales. So we might end up living in the timeline which has Chloe in a wheelchair and William still alive. So if you're asking, where's Chloe in this trailer? Why don't I see Chloe in this trailer? Well, it might be because we may stay in the new dimension where Chloe is disabled and therefore she's unable to really come with us. Now, we won't be stuck in this dimension where Chloe is disabled forever, and we'll talk about why that is a little bit later in this video. Alright, so one thing that struck me as being sort of interesting is that this episode is titled The Dark Room, yet I see no scenes from a dark room. So it starts off with Max in a brand new location, which appears to be a barn somewhere quite a distance away from Arcadia Bay. So the question that I had was, what led Max to this barn? So if I had a guess on that, I would say that the dark room is a literal dark room meant for developing photographs, and Max goes into one located at Blackwell Academy towards the beginning of episode 4. There, she finds some sort of clue or some sort of evidence that could cause her to be snooping around in this abandoned barn. Now, what I get from the first part of the trailer is that Max finds in this barn a secret hatch hidden under the straw that leads to this underground bunker type deal with a large vault. While we are going closer and closer to the vault, we are having images flashed on the screen of those red binders that we've seen what feels like forever ago. So what this is suggesting, and I'm not saying it's true since episode 2's trailer was very misleading, but what it's suggesting is that this vault is where we will find those red binders. So whoever owns this property, whoever occupies this vault, I'm gonna say that they're the bad guy. And at this point, I would point the finger at either Mark Jefferson or Sean Prescott. But I don't really think this trailer necessarily helps us in proving that, so I don't really think I'm going to go into it too much. But I do think we will have a pretty good idea of who is the bad guy by the end of episode 4. Now, following the scene where we are shown the Price's empty house, Max narrates that there is no signs of life. Now, I'm not sure if this part is in a new dimension or if it's in the same exact dimension as the very beginning of episode 4, but what I'm getting from the scene is that everyone knows about this storm, and as a result of it, the Prices have decided to leave. You can see that Chloe's room is all boxed up, and it appears they might have left in a hurry. And now remember, we are in the new timeline where Chloe is not really into the punk scene, so it makes sense that there's no posters or graffiti on her wall like we've seen in the past. Following this are some images that are quickly flashed on the screen, which might give us details into some new locations we will be exploring. This first appears to be a hospital. Now, Max might end up going there to possibly see Chloe, since she might need to go there for regular visits, or it's possible that those who saved Kate might be able to go there and actually talk to her, possibly gaining some sort of clue for later on. However, as we continue, we see this sort of lounge which looks like it might be connected to the Vortex Club End of the World party. Something sort of interesting about this is that the writing on the wall reads, Kate Marsh RIP. So would this mean that this scene is either given only to the people where Kate Marsh has died, or is it possible that even if you save Kate Marsh, she might end up dying later in the game? All I know is that if that is the case, then the universe correcting itself theory may have just gotten a lot more plausible. Now after that, we see the Blackwell Academy hallway and parking lot completely empty, then scenes of what appears to be a fight with Nathan and Warren, and by the looks of it, Warren kicks Nathan's ass. Now this scene looks to be in Blackwell Academy and maybe even in the boys' dormitory hallways. I can really only guess what this fight might actually be about, but what I can say is it sort of looks like Warren is protecting Max from Nathan. Following this is the biggest what the fuck scene ever, which shows us proof that Max does go back to the original timeline. So in this scene we find Max in Chloe's room with a familiar American flag window shade. But in her room is the picture that Max and Chloe drew when they were younger, which we saw earlier in Chloe's backyard. And what I think this scene is suggesting is that either Max or Chloe may have solved the mystery of Rachel Amber. So when we freeze this scene, we see number 1, some of the pictures that we find in Frank's RV, number 2, some photos of Kate Marsh, which I believe are the ones taken by David Madsen, and number 3, what appears to be Nathan's Blackwell student record. On top of that, there are also some scribbled notes throughout the painting, which might actually become some additional clues. But I think the real big thing that we get from this scene is that we will be going back to either the original dimension or at least a dimension very similar to the original one. Now continuing on, we are shown some additional images of the dead whales, the approaching storm, and the original beginning of the game where Max wakes up by the lighthouse. None of that is really new, but then all of a sudden we get to this parking lot scene and Max is there staring at 2 fucking moons. So yeah, that might be a problem. And really all this is saying is that Max is continuing to thoroughly fuck up the universe. Following that, we're shown scenes from the Vortex Club party, which at this point I practically forgot about, and then following that, it appears that Max is busting down someone's door. Now, assuming that this is the girls' dorm, Max would be busting into Dana's room. For what reason, I literally have no idea. This is most likely the boys' dorm and could actually be Nathan's room, which would make a lot more sense. Now after that, we see more images of the tornado, and then what appears to be a scene from the Vortex Club party where Max confronts Victoria while the audio clip is Max saying, "What do you mean by dark places? Is the world ending?" A key word in this sentence is world, so we aren't just talking Arcadia Bay being in trouble. Basically, the end of the world party might literally just be that, the end of the entire world. After this, we are shown Max running to Chloe's truck and driving off, and based on the scenery, it really looks like she's just driving to that barn that we saw at the beginning of this trailer, but what this does is it helps us support the thought that something within Blackwell Academy tipped Max off about the barn. After that, we get to see Max being choked again, but this time it's by Frank. It appears in the scene that we were by the beach, so my guess is that Max probably drove there to ask Frank some questions, though it doesn't really look like he wanted to answer them. Finally, we see a continuation of the fight between Warren and Nathan, and in it we see that Nathan once again pulls his gun out, only for Warren to ironically headbutt Nathan to the ground. With all this wrapping up, we hear Nathan yell, "The storm is coming and you're all gonna die," suggesting that Nathan might have known about this storm earlier than everyone else and that he has a plan of avoiding it. Following all this is a grim question being asked by Max, which is, did I make the right decision? Something that I think we will all be asking ourselves by the end of episode 4. Alright guys, so what do you think? Based on everything that we have seen so far, how do you think episode 4 will go? Now remember that we also have to take into account that we have a new ability to travel through photos, which will obviously affect episode 4. Plus, based on previous episodes, Max will most likely gain a new ability sometime during this episode, which could also greatly affect the storyline. Please leave a comment and let me know what you think. Also, please remember to come back here on July 28th. I will try to have some videos out by that afternoon, and we'll be giving updates about my progress with that on Twitter throughout the day. Alright guys, once again, thank you so much for watching this. I cannot thank you enough for all of the amazing support, and I will see you all in the next video. Stay awesome, guys.